The following is a Comfortably Zoned Radio Network production.
Thank you, Tally Olson. We are back. Retro Rangers in the Zone. I'm Ralph Tyko of the Comfortably Zoned Network, and I'd like to introduce the host of the show, Mr. George Grimm.
Shoot the puck, Barry. Shoot the puck. There's many Ranger fans of a certain age who remember those as being the immortal words of Bill Chadwick, the Big Whistle. And tonight he's going to be the subject of our Retro Rangers podcast. I'm joined by Hal Bock, a former sports writer for the Associated Press and author of many books on many sports, and also the author of a 1974 book about Bill Chadwick called The Big Whistle. We're also joined by former Ranger intern Steve Schoppy, who worked side by side with Bill for a number of games while he was working for the Rangers. I just want to thank you guys for coming on, and I'm going to run down Bill's career first before we get started. Bill was born in October 1915 in New York City. He began playing hockey in the Metropolitan Hockey League. He also played for the New York Rovers of the Eastern Hockey League when it was amateur. He lost the sight of in his right eye when he was struck in the eye with a puck at an All-Star game played at Madison Square Garden, and a Metropolitan League All-Star game. He moved into officiating. He became an NHL linesman, the first U.S.-born NHL linesman in 1939-40. Next year, he moved up to be an official. He kept that job until 1955. He created a series of hand signals that he used to tell the fans what he called holding or tripping or roughing or whatever he called, and those hand signals are still in use these days today. He moved into private industry after hockey. He was inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame in 1964 and became a member of the U.S. Hockey Hall of Fame in 1974. He was called out of, I guess you could say, retirement by Emil Francis, who wanted him to do the color work on the Ranger radio games with Marv Albert. He did that for a few years, and he moved into TV with Sal Marciano for a year. After that 1 year with Sal, he was teamed with Jim Gordon, and the two of them became a much-loved duo for many, many years. We love them. When he retired from that, he became active in the Ranger Alumni Association, and Bill passed away in 2009. Okay, guys. I throw it open to you guys.
Well, let me start by saying that Bill Chadwick was one of my early books. I was covering the Rangers, and he was working broadcasting, and we got to know each other in the press room before games, and he was a wonderful storyteller. And I thought to myself, boy, this guy's a book. Let me see if we can arrange a book. And I asked him if he would be interested, and he was. And so The Big Whistle, which was the name of this book, became a reality. And it's an autobiography. It's Bill's story. But one of the wonderful things that happened to me, after Bill passed away in 2009, they had a memorial service for him in Manhattan at a funeral home. And, of course, I went. And his son came over to me, I guess it's Bill Jr., came over to me and he said, I got to tell you, that book, I could hear my father's voice reading that book. And, boy, that floored me. I said to him, it's the greatest thing I've ever heard. anybody who's tried to do an autobiography about another person, use the other person's voice, and is told that he captured it, I mean, that's the greatest compliment you can imagine for a writer. And so I'm very proud of it.
Not just anybody telling you that, Harold, that his son.
That's what I mean, yeah. I was just floored by that comment and very appreciative of it, and it made me even prouder of this book that I worked with Bill on his story.
Okay, how did you get Ralph Tyko interrupting with the question of Hal Bock? How did you construct the book? Just from interviews?
Well, it turned out, ironically, and I had no idea when I approached Bill about this. He lived about 10 minutes away from my house, so access was wonderful. Yeah. I would just get in the car and drive over to his house and spend a couple of hours with him, just talking and listening to his stories. And we started in the beginning and we went to the end. And he was a wonderful guy to talk to. He was a really sweetheart of a guy, and easy talking. You know, you didn't have to pull things out of him. You just, brought up a name or brought up a subject, and he'd go. And so that's how it worked. It was his story. It's written in the first person. It's his story, and I was proud to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a good book. I enjoyed it.
What is it that you learned about him in doing the book that surprised you?
Well, I knew his story. I knew that he had lost an eye early in his career as a hockey player when he was playing junior hockey. And so that was an easy jumping off point for the book. It was a dramatic story about, a teenage kid losing his eye and faced with the prospect of not being able to play. Although he did play with one eye. And the irony of this whole story is, referees take a lot of grief in all sports, umpires, referees, and so forth. Here was a referee who was blind in one eye. Now, I don't know that the fans knew this. Probably not. But the players may have known it, and the other officials certainly knew it. And yet he emerged as the best official and the most important official of his time. So what an accomplishment for this guy, operating with this disability, and yet he was a remarkable official. He set records. George went over some of them. He refereed over 1,000 games and refereed many Stanley Cup deciding games and so forth.
Now, Bill once said that any time that the fan said he was blind, he always said, "Well, you're half right." So he knew,